Hey guys, Matt here. This is my review of Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. This movie is directed by Scott Cooper, who previously did Crazy Heart and Out of the Furnace. This movie stars Jeremy Allen White. Now, the plot of this movie takes place in 1981 into 1982, when Bruce Springsteen is writing for his newest album called Nebraska. And the film primarily focuses on his struggles with his past and his mental health while writing for this album. Now, when the trailer for this movie first came out, I thought, okay, we're getting a Bruce Springsteen biopic. Finally, this is one of the few artists, along with Michael Jackson and Roy Orbison, that we hadn't gotten a biopic on. And I figured with all the biopics coming out, it's only a matter of time. And so, having seen the trailer, I was like, all right, Jeremy Allen White is the star, so this should be really good as far as the acting goes. And I thought the movie was going to paint a picture of the boss's life, from childhood to maybe now. Well, I saw the movie, and even though the story wasn't as grand and fleshed out as I wanted it to be, the acting and the performances were really good. So let me start with the acting in this movie. Jeremy Allen White, as the boss, Bruce Springsteen, he did a really good job. He did the best performance in the movie, obviously. He's the main character, he's the central character, and he's the one that we're following for the movie. And I'll tell you what, Jeremy Allen White plays strong, stoic, and vulnerable really well. He's the kind of actor where he plays, a tough guy that doesn't say a whole lot, and then when he finally does get emotional, when he finally does show vulnerability, you're like, oh man, that's acting right there, because he does it really well. A lot of his roles are like this pent-up rage, this pent-up emotion that, he tries to hold it all together, hold it all inside, and that's what the character does for a majority of this movie. He doesn't say a whole lot as Bruce Springsteen, and then there's a moment later in the film where he sits down in a room with somebody trying to help him, and he just lets it all out, and it's very emotional. And then there's a scene at the end of the movie involving his father that it made me lose it, just because the movie focuses so much on Bruce dealing with his past, dealing with his childhood that wasn't very enjoyable, and then it all coming to a head and all climaxing at the end, and it was just very well done. I wish the movie had shown more of Bruce's life instead of this one moment in 1982 involving this album. Now, I get it. This was a very personal project for him. It was a passion project, and it meant a lot. And so that's what the movie was going to focus on, which is a very interesting idea. And because it did show his childhood in flashbacks in black and white, we did essentially get, his life story. But I wish this movie showed us more of the concerts, more of the live performances, more of that, because Jeremy Allen White did his own singing in this movie. And it's really impressive, but here we got the dialogue and the talking and the voice like Bruce Springsteen. We didn't get a whole lot of the singing, which is something I was looking forward to. Because if you're going to have Bruce Springsteen, the E Street Band, all his other band members, if you're going to include them in this movie, kind of flesh them out a bit. Show us what they can do. And then you have Odessa Young as the love interest of Bruce Springsteen. And she was good as well. She was a single mom who, gets involved with Bruce Springsteen, and then they have their ups and their downs. And she was good in this film. Jeremy Strong as the manager of Bruce. I don't know a whole lot about Bruce Springsteen, so all I knew were a couple songs, so I was intrigued of what, parts of his life this movie was going to show us. And obviously it wasn't a whole lot, but we got Jeremy Strong as the manager that's, kind of the rock for Bruce. He's the guy that's always there to help him out with his emotions and his career choices. But because Jeremy Strong has a very unique voice and a very unique acting style, he just kind of came off as more or less just more of Jeremy Strong, and not so much as this individual that we're supposed to, get to care for. But because his voice was very monotone, it just felt like Jeremy Strong with, a hairpiece. I will say another standout in this movie, aside from Bruce, has got to be Stephen Graham. He plays Bruce's dad, and though we see him as, the actor Stephen Graham in the flashbacks in black and white, when they show him in the present, when this movie's taking place, he is unrecognizable. And I know people like to use that description for characters in heavy makeup and prosthetics, but here, I thought it was a whole different actor. It was incredible. Stephen Graham, really good. Also, like Bruce, he's the stoic, quiet man, but when he shows that emotion, that vulnerability, it's like, oh, give me a tissue. So, really good there. But this movie could have featured so many different characters in Bruce's life, so many different figures, that he was either influenced by or that he worked with, but the primary focus here was Bruce Springsteen, which was interesting because that's what this movie's about. Him writing this album, him dealing with his mental struggles, his trauma, and that was the point. But this movie could have done so much more with it, but that's not the movie we got. Scott Cooper, the director of this movie, likes to do a lot of depressing subject matter with his movies. Crazy Heart with Jeff Bridges dealt with alcoholism and, being past your prime. Out of the Furnace with Christian Bale dealt with just a guy that just had so many things in life thrown at him. And this movie is not going to make you leave with a smile on your face. It's going to make you feel like, hey, I didn't know that about Bruce Springsteen, but with mental health being the focal point that it is now in society, it's going to help you understand things. They just may not leave you feeling, in a good mood. So, because the acting was good and this movie focused on one point in Bruce Springsteen's life as opposed to the whole entire life, not so much the ups and downs, but mostly just the downs and the more downs. It's an interesting choice, but it's the movie that we got, not the movie that we wanted. So because of that, I'm going to give Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, a B. So until next time, guys.